Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The fans are left wondering about the Brown family's future as Sister Wives Season 19 draws to a close following an intense 4-part tell-all special. It's clear now that Kody Brown's several families are in ruins. Mary, Janelle, and Christine, his 3 ex-wives, have all moved on from him and are content with their new lives. Avoidance is the Brown family patriarch's preferred tactic, as every viewer of Sister Wives knows. Kody had a history of evading responsibility, whether it was by leaving his first 3 spouses when they dared to disagree with him, or by vanishing from his kids' life whenever they showed signs of hurt. Another example of the reality star putting personal peace above all else is his sudden wish to move to Europe and pack up his entire life. Kody and Robyn began discussing their marriage and their falling out with the former Sister Wives on the January 5th episode of Sister Wives Season 19. Kody revealed during a confessional that he was feeling the need to escape the toxic vibe he had been coping with. The father of 18 openly prioritized his own wants over those of his children, which is really startling. Although many of his children are still in elementary school and college, Kody acknowledged that he feels the major shift is essential for his own well-being. To put things in perspective, Kody also acknowledged that he did not think his relationships with his ex-partners would ever get better. The reality star continued, "I want to leave this place where I can't see it, be surrounded by it, or feel it anymore." Kody totally disregarded his role in the dissolution of his multiple families by saying this. The thought of Kody relocating to a completely new place with Robyn and her children while purposefully disregarding the conflicts with the other children is as self-centered as it gets, even though it's easy to see the allure of a fresh start. The reality star is deluding himself if he believes that a change of scenery can resolve all the problems that have caused his family to become as dysfunctional as it is now. The degree to which Kody prioritizes Robyn and the family he has created with her over all other relationships in his life is also evident in his remarks. He is still a father to his elder children even though he is divorced and does not get along with his ex-wives. Robyn is unimportant to Kody and should be discarded along with the rest of his history, yet he still acts like everyone else. Because of how far he had driven everyone away, the patriarch of the Brown family had no one to grieve with except Robyn, even during Garrison Brown's memorial ceremony. Kody was shown holding onto the flimsy resemblances he shared with Garrison, while Janelle, Christine, and their children were observed grieving together. In actuality, though, he was never truly there to create any memories with his son. Perhaps after a loss like this, Kody does want to get back in touch with his kids. But regrettably, he never puts in any effort. Instead, he constantly takes the simple route, which involves being defensive and clinging to his ego. Realistically speaking, Kody's preparations for this lavish vacation in Europe are more complicated than they first appear. They aren't prepared to abandon him, even though he may be prepared to put all of his troubles behind him. First of all, compared to some regions of the United States, polygamy is less prevalent in Europe. The majority of Europe still prohibits polygamy, despite certain nations having more progressive social policies. Relocating might make it impossible for Kody and Robyn to adopt new sister wives and resume their previous way of life in the future. In addition, he and Robyn recently purchased a $2.1 million home in Flagstaff, which represents a significant financial commitment that the pair would have to manage if they decide to transfer. However, it's likely that Kody hasn't even thought about any of this considering his propensity of making snap decisions. Just when fans thought the emotional wreckage from Season 19 of Sister Wives had reached its peak, after watching Christine leave with her head held high, Janelle declare herself free and emotionally detached, and Mary walk away from a hollow marriage that had long ago flatlined, Kody Brown has done the unthinkable, dropped a bombshell so massive, so utterly catastrophic, that it could destroy whatever fragile remnants of family were left in the wake of the Browns' slow-motion collapse. In a shocking post-season confessional leaked during the filming of what insiders are now calling the real endgame interviews, Kody looked dead into the camera, voice devoid of his usual arrogance, his eyes hollow but burning with a mix of defiance and guilt, and uttered the sentence that stopped producers in their tracks, "I'm leaving polygamy for good." That's right. The man who built his entire life, television legacy, and spiritual ideology on the foundation of plural marriage has decided to abandon it entirely. No spiritual wives. No rebuilding. No second chances. And most stunningly of all, his decision wasn't made because of Christine leaving. It wasn't even sparked by Janelle or Mary. It was because, in Kody's words, "I don't believe in it anymore. Not after what it did to my children. Not after what it did to me." That one confession has now ripped through the Sister Wives fandom like wildfire, igniting shock, rage, speculation, and for some, a strange sense of vindication that maybe, just maybe, the facade is finally over. According to insider reports, the bombshell came during the final filming days of the tell-all follow-up to season 19, where the Browns were brought back, separately of course, to reflect on the aftermath of the season's explosive events. And while viewers expected tension, tears, and maybe a few new feuds, no one saw this coming. Kody, long known for his stubborn allegiance to plural marriage despite growing evidence that it was destroying every relationship he had, looked like a man completely unmoored. He wasn't angry. He wasn't yelling. He was eerily calm. And that's what made it terrifying. He spoke about loneliness, about watching his family disintegrate, about losing the respect of his children. He talked about how plural marriage had become a cage, not a spiritual calling, and how clinging to it had cost him not only 3 marriages, but his sense of self. But the most jaw-dropping part of his revelation wasn't just his personal change of heart. It was his next move. He's officially filing to dissolve his spiritual marriage to Robyn. Yes, the so-called favorite wife, the last woman standing, the one who stood by him through every storm, is now reportedly being left behind as well. "I thought Robyn and I could rebuild something monogamous," he said, his voice breaking. "But I realized I don't even know what love is outside of control. And I can't drag her through my collapse." If that wasn't devastating enough, what followed was even more chilling. Kody revealed that he's been in therapy for the first time in his adult life, and that those sessions forced him to confront decades of damage he both inflicted and endured. "I was never taught how to lead with empathy. I was taught how to control with righteousness," he admitted. "I judged Mary. I dismissed Christine. I emotionally neglected Janelle, and I buried Robyn under expectations she never asked for." Fans who've long accused Kody of narcissism and manipulation were stunned to see even a flicker of self-awareness, but many remain skeptical. After all, a confession is not a correction, and Kody's bombshell may come too little, too late. What makes this confession even more shocking is how it's impacted his adult children. Sources say Payton, Gwendolyn, Gabriel, and even Logan have refused to appear on camera since hearing the news, allegedly stating they want nothing to do with a man who took decades to realize what everyone else saw in year 5. Meanwhile, Robyn, who once wept over being the last wife left, is said to be devastated, blindsided by a man she once considered her eternal partner, now reportedly telling producers that Kody's identity crisis feels like betrayal disguised as growth. Christine, ever the beacon of emotional clarity in recent seasons, has reportedly declined to film a reaction interview, stating simply that Kody's journey is no longer my business, but insiders say she wasn't surprised at all. In fact, many suspect she saw this coming years ago. "He never loved plural marriage," she allegedly told a close friend. "He loved the power that came from being needed by 4 different women." As for Janelle, her reaction was the most poignant. When told of Kody's bombshell, she reportedly sat in silence, then shook her head and said, "So now, he gets it. But we already paid the price." And Mary? She allegedly laughed bitterly and muttered, "He always wanted to quit. He just needed everyone else to leave first, so he didn't look like the bad guy." Each wife, now ex-wife, reacting with a mixture of disbelief, exhaustion, and emotional distance, as if the man they once loved is a ghost of a life they've already mourned. But the implications of Kody's bombshell go far beyond personal drama. This is a theological earthquake. Kody Brown has long been the public face of fundamentalist-style plural marriage. Sister Wives wasn't just reality TV, it was his family's public testimony of their faith. And now, with one sentence, he's publicly dismantled everything he once claimed God asked of him. This isn't just a divorce. This is apostasy. And the fallout is nuclear. Polygamy circles across the country are reportedly furious, calling Kody a coward, a sellout, and accusing him of leading thousands into a lifestyle he no longer believes in. Meanwhile, producers at TLC are scrambling. Season 20 was already in development, pitched as a healing season that would follow Robyn and Kody rebuilding a life together. Now, that arc is reportedly scrapped. Cameras are being redirected. Editors are reportedly working overtime to reframe the post-season footage into something resembling a series finale, or perhaps a transition into a new spin-off. Rumors are swirling that a Christine Anjanelle-focused show may be greenlit, as fans clamor to follow the lives of the wives who escaped and not the man who finally gave up. Social media, of course, exploded. Hashtags like #KodyQuits, #PolygamyNoMore, and #RobynWasLastForNothing trended for hours. Fans flooded Twitter and TikTok with reaction videos, memes, and emotional commentary. Some expressed relief. Finally, he sees what he did to those women. Others were more cynical. Kody's not quitting polygamy. Polygamy quit him. And many questioned the timing. Did TLC orchestrate this? Is this just a way to generate buzz for a finale? But those who know the Browns best, longtime watchers, YouTubers, family insiders, insist this wasn't scripted. It was inevitable. Because Kody Brown, after decades of hiding behind doctrine, finally had no more wives to hide behind. No more homes to juggle. No more emotional leverage. Just a man, alone in his thoughts, staring into the camera and saying the words that finally ended the illusion. I don't believe in this anymore. And so here we are, watching in real time as the myth of sister wives crumbles. Not with a scandal, not with an affair, not even with a public fight, but with a quiet, devastating confession from the man who started it all. Kody Brown has dropped the bombshell that ends the era. He's done with plural marriage, done with the spiritual weight of being the head of a plural family, done pretending this lifestyle ever brought him the peace it promised. What happens next? No one knows. But one thing's for sure. The Brown family, as we knew it, is over. And in its place stands the question that haunts every viewer, every ex-wife, and every child who grew up under Kody's roof. Was it all worth it? Would you like a follow-up from Robyn's perspective, or a Christine and Janelle reunion segment where they react to the bombshell together on camera? And while Kody's bombshell may have stunned viewers and shattered the framework of the show as we know it, the emotional aftershock reverberated hardest through Robyn, the one wife who had stayed, fought, and sacrificed under the belief that her devotion would lead to something whole. But now? Now she's left holding the shards of a fantasy that was promised, defended, and now abruptly abandoned. When Robyn first heard Kody say the words, "I'm leaving polygamy for good," witnesses say she physically recoiled, as if the man she believed in had just vanished before her eyes. For years, Robyn was criticized, sometimes unfairly, sometimes with good reason, for being the so-called favorite, the wife who benefited most from Kody's emotional attention. But what fans are now realizing is that Robyn didn't win anything. She inherited the final version of a man already unraveling, emotionally drained, spiritually conflicted, and more obsessed with maintaining control than nurturing connection. And now, she's watching the man who told her she was his soulmate renounce the entire foundation of their marriage, essentially saying, "It never worked. I don't want it anymore. I'm done." It's not just heartbreak, it's spiritual abandonment. And according to sources close to production, Robyn is furious, not just at Kody, but at herself. Furious that she bought into the dream, that she clung so tightly to a man who, in the end, didn't even believe in the very lifestyle he used to justify every decision, every move, every betrayal. "Why did I sacrifice everything?" she reportedly asked during a raw, unedited post-interview moment. "Why did I uproot my kids, give up everything I believed in, stand by him, just for him to say he never believed in it at all?" Those close to Robyn say she's never looked more devastated, mascara streaked, voice trembling, rage simmering under every sentence. But this isn't just about a spiritual divorce. This is about identity. Because while Christine and Janelle had emotionally detached years ago, and Mary had already learned how to function in isolation, Robyn built her entire persona around being the faithful one, the loyal one, the glue. And now, that glue has snapped, and she's left wondering if she was ever loved for herself, or merely for the role she played in Kody's increasingly delusional theater. Fans who once saw Robyn as calculating are now watching something much more heartbreaking. A woman waking up from a decades-long dream to find she was alone the entire time. Her cries in past episodes, "I didn't sign up for this. I wanted sisterhood. I wanted unity," take on a whole new weight now. Because the man she trusted to hold the family together wasn't just a failing patriarch. He was a man pretending to believe in something long after his faith was dead. Meanwhile, on the other side of the emotional divide, Christine and Janelle have never looked more free. Not because they were happy to see Kody crash, but because they finally felt validated. For years, both women were gaslit, dismissed, and emotionally minimized whenever they questioned Kody's leadership, love, or spiritual consistency. But now, Kody himself is confirming what they always sensed, that he was never the man he pretended to be. In a private segment filmed days after the bombshell, Janelle reportedly told producers, "I always thought if I was more obedient, more spiritual, he'd love me more." Turns out, none of that mattered. He didn't love himself in this marriage. How could he love us? Christine, more blunt, reportedly laughed. Not cruelly, but with the clarity of someone who finally feels safe. "Kody leaving polygamy isn't shocking," she said. "The shocking part is that it took him this long to say it out loud." And for the first time, these two women, once rivals under a toxic patriarchal structure, are now bonded in a way that defies spiritual titles. Not sister wives. Not exes. But survivors. Survivors of a system that asked them to bleed silently while smiling, all for a man who no longer believes in the very system he once enforced with fire and brimstone. But perhaps the most painful reactions have come from the Brown children, who are now caught in the emotional wreckage of their father's unraveling. Sources say that some of the kids, particularly the older ones like Gwendolyn, Madison, and Peyton, want nothing to do with Kody anymore. "He's not just walking away from polygamy," one of them allegedly said off camera. "He's walking away from accountability. He's acting like this is growth, but it's just escape." Even Savannah, usually quiet and deeply respectful, is said to be devastated by how her father handled the announcement. "He didn't call. He didn't check on me. I found out through filming," she reportedly told her mother. The emotional toll on the children cannot be overstated. For years, they were told that this lifestyle was God's will, that sacrifices were noble, that their mother's tears were worth it. And now, in one sit-down moment, their father says, "None of that mattered. I was wrong." And while that may sound like growth to outsiders, to the children who lived through the dysfunction, it feels like betrayal. And the ones who haven't yet spoken? Their silence speaks volumes. The fandom is spiraling. Reddit threads are flooded. YouTube breakdowns are hourly. Fans who've followed this family for over a decade, watched the births, the moves, the weddings, the therapy sessions, are now reckoning with the biggest question of all. Was it ever real? Because if Kody no longer believes in polygamy, was he ever truly a spiritual leader? Or was he simply a man craving control, using faith as the armor to protect his ego and mask his own emotional shortcomings? Longtime viewers are calling this moment the final unmasking, the collapse of a myth that was already fraying at the seams. And some are demanding more. They want Kody to sit with each wife face to face and answer for what he put them through. The emotional starvation, the favoritism, the manipulation, the abandonment. They want real apologies, real growth, not just a filmed confession and a dramatic fade to black. As TLC executives scramble to decide whether this is the end or a new beginning, whispers of a new docuseries are emerging, one that would follow Christine, Janelle, and the Brown kids as they rebuild a life without Kody. Fans are more invested in that story now, not the fall of a patriarch, but the rise of the women he left behind. And, in a way, that's the ultimate twist. For years, Sister Wives was about his journey, his burden,